That $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 million, billion dollars, I should say, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
There you have it, raw, real, happening in real time last night. That was President Biden at the CNN presidential debate. His gaffes and rambles were on full display. The Biden campaign is claiming that he had a cold during that dismal performance. First Lady Jill Biden was seen leading the president off the stage at the end of the night. Democrat sources are telling Fox News after the showdown that, quote, everyone is freaking out, unquote, and that, quote, Biden needs to go, unquote. There's no replacing him, however, unless he agrees. The Trump campaign, meanwhile, declaring victory last night in a statement saying this: President Trump delivered the greatest performance and victory in history. Joining me now is Trafalgar Group Chief Pollster and Polling Plus co-host Robert Cahaly and former senior advisor to the Clintons, Stagwell Chairman and CEO, and the Harris Poll Chairman, Mark Penn. Gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to see you, and I'm grateful that you're joining me this morning on such an important morning to assess what we saw last night. Mark, I want to kick it off with you. You have a new Fox News op-ed out, and it is titled, Joe Biden's Debate Gamble Backfires. You write this: it will be hard for the president to recover from his performance and the risky gamble the campaign took with an early debate. Tell us more, Mark. What are your assessments from the night?
Well, they took a big gamble here, holding this debate before the convention. It was inexplicable in the sense that during the convention, you get to, deliver your message on an unfiltered basis in a controlled forum, reading a teleprompter. Knowing what they knew, it was a puzzling decision to hold this debate when they held it. And it did backfire because the American public, I really, in my political life, have never seen an event like this in which virtually every commentator came to the same conclusion that Biden showed his age in this and didn't seem like he could possibly govern another 4 years. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, but Mark, we know it's not just his age. We know plenty of people who are in their 80s, and it's more than just the age, is it not?
Well, what people came away with was that he couldn't govern another 4 years, that he was not the same Joe Biden who debated Donald Trump in the past. And as you saw in the CNN poll, 2/3 of the people thought that Donald Trump won the debate. I've never seen such a consensus. And what happens with debates is that there's the debate and then there's the spin off the debate. And the spin here is 100% negative. So it is going to be tough for Joe Biden to come back from this, even with a great convention.
So I want to ask you about what happens next, Mark, but let me get Robert in here because, Robert, the issues were there. The border crisis was a top voter issue. It was in focus at the debate. Migrant crime surging across the country. It was a focus. Here's what Trump and Biden had to say on both. Watch this.
We worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement. The Border Patrol endorsed my position. I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office.
We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president.
I'm not saying no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, People are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime.
By the way, the Border Patrol Union did not endorse Biden. We know that. And the Border Patrol Union actually wrote it on X last night in the middle of all of this. They sent out this tweet. To be clear, we never have and never will endorse Biden. Mark, I want to get back to you in a moment in terms of what happens next for the Democrats. But Robert, tell us your thoughts. How do you assess last night? Give us your takeaways.
Well, it was like a blooper roll that you see at the end of a movie for Biden. It's one of those things where you don't even have to do a lot of cutting to get all the things he just fumbled over, one thing after the next. And Trump showed pretty good discipline. The fact that he kept coming back to immigration, he knew it was a weak spot, and kind of like one fighter versus another, he keeps coming back to that same area. He'd make a point in every answer that he could to get back to immigration or to tie whatever's being discussed to immigration. And I thought that required a lot more focus and discipline than we've seen in previous debates from Trump. And, there was a point where you just felt like Biden really ought to have somebody just kind of literally throw in the towel and just call this thing. I was worried he was going to walk off the stage at any moment.
Unbelievable. So, Mark, what happens now? There's obviously a lot of chatter right now in Democrat circles that they're trying to figure out whether or not they can swap out Biden for somebody else. But who would it be? Is it Kamala Harris? What do you see now? Because the delegates have been chosen already, correct?
Yeah, the delegates are in place, and those delegates are loyal to President Biden. And so, there is a lot of speculation about change. I think, I agree with what David Axelrod said, that, hey, a democratic process picked the president as the nominee, and the only person who could really undo that process is the nominee himself. And I think, like trying to get the car keys from an 82-year-old, good luck. I don't think he's going to give up his chance at continuing to be president. I think he's going to double down and fight back. Look, he's going to meet with his advisors. They're going to assess things, and they're going to look for a plan out. Is it possible that he'd withdraw? Pressure is building. It really does surprise me the extent to which Nate Silver and other commentators have called for him to drop out. I don't think I've, again, quite ever seen anything like this with an active sitting presidential nominee.
By the way, I would argue that President Obama is among the leaders saying, get him out. I think him putting his hand on his back the other day, walking him off stage, spoke volumes. Walking him off stage left Joe Biden. That's my opinion. I think President Obama is trying to get him to understand he cannot win this. But Lee Carter, I want to get your take as well. You had that whole group of people last night. Jump in here, Lee.
So from what I saw, I think it's going to be almost impossible for Joe Biden to recover from this, because the biggest concern people had was about his ability to serve for the next term. They came away saying there's no way. Mark, do you think that there's any way that he can recover? You're saying it's going to be tough for him to recover, but do you think there's any way that he can recover from this?
Well, we don't know what's going to continue to happen with Donald Trump. And Donald Trump last night I think he achieved the strategy that he set out to achieve. He was unflappable in the face of all of those attacks. But Americans, they always say they're never changing their mind until they do. I think this is a political shock. Well, let's see what happens here.
Robert, real quick, can he recover or no?
I think it's going to be really tough, and I noticed on a couple of the networks how much they talked up Kamala Harris after she gave her response. They were, where's she been hiding? No, she did such a great job. It's like they're acknowledging that there's a change coming and the way they're dealing with her.
Yeah, it's got to be Kamala Harris. They can't say, oh, we're blowing off Kamala because we want Gavin Newsom, right? That can't happen. Robert Cahaly, Mark Penn, thank you very much for your important insights. We'll be right back.